Test, test.
And Sarge, if we can have the president and his team situated on those chairs. We will be starting momentarily. I know that Good morning, members, and to our NMC team and family, and to the viewing public who are watching in our social media platform. The chair will now call today's budget hearing with NMC to order, and with 9 members, we have duly established a quorum. So at this time, do I hear any motion for adoption of today's agenda? There is a motion to adopt today's agenda, and it has been seconded. Discussion on that motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. We have adopted today's agenda. Moving along on our order of business, we are now on item 3, public comments. Are there any public comments with members of the public who are here? Seeing that there is no public comments, moving along, we are now on item 4, introduction and statement from the chair. So at this time, the chair would like to thank you, Mr. President, and your team and the NMC family for coming before the Committee on Ways and Means. Today, here with us is myself as chair, Representative J.P. Sablon. To my left, we have the vice chair, who's Representative B.J. Atto. And members who are here are Floor Leader Marisa Flores. To her left, we have Representative Vincent O'Don. And to his left, we have Representative Roman Benavente. On the other side of the aisle, we have Representative Patrick San Nicolas. To his left, we have Representative Denita Yangtimay. And to her left, we have our Minority Leader, Representative Roy Adda. And to his left, we have Representative T.J. Manglonia. Assisting our committee this morning is our bureau staff with our legal counsel, Joe Hallahan, our budget analysis, T.J. Rabago. We have our senior legislative assistant, Ms. Claire Sablon, our sergeant at arms, Mr. Will, and we have our IT, Jonathan Diaz. Just walked in is Representative Joe Flores, who is also a member of Ways and Means. Also assisting and joining us this morning is Ms. Vicky Villagomez, who is from OMB, and with her staff, Ms. Jasmine Kamatsu. So with that, Mr. President, at this time, I give you the floor for your opening statement and your presentation to this August body.
Hafidez Antiro, Chairman, and honorable members of this distinguished committee, we thank you very much for allowing us to join you today. If I could briefly introduce our team before we kind of jump right into it. We have with us today our Sea of Red, the Proa tribe, but we also have here in this chamber, we have the Vice President for Administration and Advancement, Frankie Liptico, our Dean of Student Support Services, Charlotte Cepeda, our Dean of Academic Program Services, Lorraine Maui, and our Dean of CREASE, Patty Coleman. Members of the committee and chairman, we know that times are tough right now. And we know that what's on everyone's minds is the economic situation of the Northern Marianas. So we come before you today to assure you that your investment in Northern Marianas College is a good investment, because the return on that investment is one that yields economic recovery and workforce development. We have always been in the business of workforce development. Ever since we started as basically a nursing school, evolved into a school of education, and then really grew our school of business, we have always made workforce development one of our top priorities. But in addition, we've also prioritized economic recovery. That's why we worked hard to bring the Small Business Development Center back to NMC. That's why we've really expanded our offerings under the Community Development Institute, which is going through rebranding right now. And that's why we've always done our best to get out there and work with economic diversification through programs like CREASE. But at the end of the day, what this is all about is not just supporting workforce development, not just helping our economy recover, but improving lives through education. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Can we improve the lives of our students, of our clients, of our community through higher education offered at NMC? And so when we talk about economic recovery and workforce development, we are going to couch it in 3 strategic priorities at the college, which are embedded into our strategic master plan. First and foremost is to take care of our community. So we look forward to sharing with you how your investment in NMC has generated a remarkable return on investment in ways that we take care of our community. We also want to assure you that we take care of our resources, because our resources are what you give us the money, you give us the resources. We want to assure you that we are responsible stewards of your investment. And at the very end, we want to talk about the people whose lives we are improving. We want to share with you just some stories of how we are improving lives through education. So we'll begin with how we are taking care of our community. And so that I don't lose my breath, we are going to have a diversity of voices speak before you today so that you can hear from the many people at the college that are making a difference. When it comes to taking care of our community, we want to first talk about how we are helping invest in our economy and helping invest in economic revitalization. So from our Small Business Development Center, we have with us today Mr. Roman Tudela, who will speak about the different initiatives we are taking to invest in our economy. So Chairman, if I may invite Mr. Tudela to come in here and speak before you.
Please do. Thank you.
Testing. All right. Afide, Tito, and thank you for the opportunity to present today. My name is Roman Tudela, Marketing Manager for the CNMI Small Business Development Center Network, proudly hosted by the Northern Marianas College. Since achieving official network status in 2022, the CNMI SBDC has been focused on one thing, and that's taking care of our community by empowering our small businesses. And across all three islands, we've helped launch 39 new local businesses, supported over 1,100 jobs, and helped inject more than $1.6 million in capital into our local economy. And we've worked with nearly 700 unique clients through one-on-one counseling and training, and have provided over 60 training events at no cost, reaching over 1,200 attendees from Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda. And if you look at these numbers, these aren't just numbers. Take a look at it as lives changed, family supported, and local entrepreneurs given a real shot at growth. And as we look ahead, our focus in 2025 has been government contracting and procurement, an area with massive untapped potential for our small businesses. We've already taken bold steps with 14 federal contracting training sessions and a Tri-Island Industry Day that brought together over 200 participants, 114 contract-ready businesses to meet contractors face-to-face. And this is especially critical because the CNMI currently lacks an Apex Accelerator, formerly known as the Procurement Training Assistance Center, Procurement Technical Assistance Center, which typically provides this type of assistance. And in the absence of that resource, the Northern Marianas College and SBDC have stepped up to fill that gap. We've been working to ensure that our local businesses aren't just left behind and are also well positioned to compete for these federal dollars that can drive economic resilience and job creation right here at home. Moving forward, we've also are building for the future through the CNMI Innovation Incubator Program, a new initiative that's hosted by the college and powered by SBDC. This incubator focuses on early stage entrepreneurs, providing mentorship, structure, and guidance to really help turn ideas into real community-rooted businesses. Whether it's a young founder on Tinian or a home-based innovator in Rhoda, we're helping bring their ideas to life and create a stronger, more resilient entrepreneur pipeline for our islands. So right now, in regards to the incubator program, we're preparing to review applications and identify our inaugural cohort of innovators. These individuals will gain access to the foundational support and resources that they would need to really break into the local business community and begin their journey as the CNMI's next generation of business leaders. And this program is really more than just a launchpad. It's really a space where innovation meets opportunity. So in closing, the CNMI SBDC network is really more than just a resource center. We are part of the Northern Marianas College's broader mission to really stimulate economic growth and recovery. We are very proud to be helping our entrepreneurs start, grow, and scale their businesses. But more than that, we're proud to be part of a system that's responding to community needs, filling critical service gaps, and building a stronger economic future for the Marianas. So on behalf of our SBDC team and our SBDC clients, we want to thank you for your commitment to support us, and we hope you continue to invest in the college and programs like SBDC that are truly taking care of our islands. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roman. In addition to the Small Business Development Center, we are investing in workforce development and other community investments through our Center for Training and Innovation, which formerly known as the Community Development Institute. So Chairman, if I may, I'd like to invite to the podium, someone from our Center for Training and Innovation, Geraldine Sasimoto. And thank you very much, Roman Stella.
Test. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Chairman, distinguished committee members. My name is Geraldine Babauta Sasimoto. I'm the program manager for CTI, the Center for Training and Innovation, formerly known as CDI, which is the Community Development Institute. Every decision you make here carries weight, great weight. Every dollar must do more than circulate. It must create opportunities and build a resilient workforce. At the Center for Training and Innovation, we take that responsibility seriously. Our mission is to empower our people, equipping them with the skills needed for a strong, future-ready economy. Across Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda, we serve individuals at every stage: high school students earning their first credential, career changers reskilling, and working parents for stability. We don't just provide training. We help people transform time and effort into real career growth and community impact. This mission fueled one of our boldest initiatives, starting with technology, the Governor's Broadband Bootcamp, a program that didn't exist until we built it. Over 5 months, it became one of the largest workforce training efforts in the CNMI history, with 301 participants across Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda. With a 90% retention rate, out of the 301 participants, 269 individuals completed with a certificate of completion in fiber optics and career readiness. And this initiative did not just span across Saipan. Tinian and Rhoda were fully integrated because recovery must reach everyone to be real. We brought together NMTech, Island Training Solutions, and the Department of Labor, demonstrating the power of collaboration between education, industry, and government to deliver meaningful, measurable results. Building on that momentum, CTI is proud to be the first CompTIA authorized delivery partner on this side of the Pacific, giving our islands access to globally recognized IT certifications. These are not just pieces of paper. They are pathways to in-demand careers and digital workforce development. Moving on to another important sector, the healthcare sector. In healthcare, we're growing a critical pipeline. Through the Area Health Education Center, we support nursing students with mentorship and career prep, ensuring they graduate and serve right here at home. And we're expanding. Soon, we'll launch certificate programs in community health and allied health support, targeted pathways to address workforce shortages and improve access to care on every island. Because health isn't just about well-being, it's about economic stability. At CTI, we are doing exactly that, delivering high-quality, industry-driven programs that don't just teach, but transform. We are aligning our training with the sectors that matter most so that our workforce is not only employed, but empowered. Circling back to the purpose behind what we do, our people. They deserve opportunity, stability, and the chance to thrive. So when you support Northern Marianas College and the Center for Training and Innovation, you are investing in the growth of our economy, the recovery of our workforce, and the future of our islands. This is what momentum looks like. This is what focus sounds like. And this is what success feels like. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Geraldine. And Chairman, I may be called Dr. G, but she's also called G because we have a lot of G's at the college. So thank you very much, G, for helping everyone understand what we're doing by way of economic development and workforce development. In addition to economic development and workforce development, we are developing our community. And leading the effort in that regard is one of the OGs of NMC, the Dean of our Community Cooperative Research Extension and Education Services, Patty Coleman. And Chairman, if I may have her speak about some of the many great things that they're doing over at CREASE.
Good morning. Thank you. It's wonderful to be here with you all today to share some of the selected work that CREASE is doing with regards to economic development. NMC CREASE is adding a new segment to our economic potential in the CNMI through the Food Science Analytical Lab, which is located at the Marianas Business Plaza. We hope to invite all of you to the groundbreaking, which will happen in a few months. We're just waiting for a couple of last things with our gases and chemicals. Next slide, please. So one of the ways that this contributes to economic development is we're going to provide analytical services, not just for the CNMI, but for the entire region. And to date, we already have a waiting list from other universities and researchers who would like Dr. Sarkar, who you see photographed here, our lead scientist, to conduct analysis, create value-added products, and to provide consultation for the development of products. Right now, we are in phase 1. Some of you might have seen our regenerative turmeric advertisement on Facebook and Instagram. And so here we have our blue turmeric, which is in phase 1 of product development, and the Roma variety of turmeric. Many of you know there's a huge market globally for turmeric. And this is the highest quality, regeneratively grown, organic, CNMI grown product. And we are going to make that available to our region and to our world. In addition to that, we will be providing on-site research on CNMI-specific plants, fish, and meats, and of course, the formulation of patents and products. And Dr. Sarkar and Dr. Mia is here, our other food scientist as well. We have the first scientific patent that we filed for the CNMI, which is specifically on noni, and we've conducted an animal study, and we have some very interesting discoveries and findings. So we hope in about a year from now that our patent will go through the entire process and we'll be able to share, and you all are a part of that success. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about the work we're doing to revitalize and reclaim our local food system. So as you can see here, we have some objective data, as we like to call it, from the CNMI Ag Census showing the increase in total farm sales from 2017 to 2023, which many of us can categorize as a very tough economic period, right? With the super typhoon, with the pandemic as well. But yet, despite that, and even when controlling for inflation during this period of time, we see significant growth in the farming sector. We've also seen an increase of 25% in the number of farms in the CNMI, and we are also introducing new sweet potato varieties into the CNMI. We're growing those slips out, and we hope to distribute them in the next several months to farmers, put in the field, test those out. And we've also brought in new fruit varieties more recently, which you haven't seen in the media because we need to control for the many people who will call us to ask for seedlings to plant in their own farms and homes. So you can see we have mangosteen there. That's one of the new varieties that we've brought in addition to a few others that you'll be hearing about in the very near future. Over the last year, we've held 8 trainings, and we've trained over 280 people in regenerative agriculture. And we have over half the Cagman farmers, actually they're more than the Cagman farmers, who are currently transitioning into regenerative agriculture. And we have 2 farmers that currently have 4 regenerative agriculture plots in Rhoda, and they are exporting those particular items to Guam. Additionally, we are working with the Attorney General's office and the Division of Agriculture on revamping and revising the agricultural regulations for the Cagman farm plots, and that has been announced for 60 days, and we're in the final phase of expanding opportunities and the types of farming that can be undertaken in the Cagman farm plots. But our work at CREES really isn't just limited to growing food and producing food. It's really about reclaiming our food system and for revitalizing the ownership that we had for for a very long time on the type of food we produce and taking pride in our ability to provide food for our people. When we say 90% of our food is imported, what we're also saying is that we're giving up 90% of that market share and sending that money off island. We have committed people. We have great weather most of the time. We have some challenges, but we have the wherewithal to make improvements, and we continue to show that we can do that. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, I forgot to say one thing. We've also have a book available now, 148 pages specifically for the CNMI with CNMI plants, CNMI resources, etc., all on CNMI-specific regenerative agriculture. So finally, I'd like to talk a little bit about data infrastructure and improving revenue collection of taxes, fees, and customs at ports. Something I'm sure many of you here are interested in. So in partnership with the Division of Customs and Biosecurity, we are working very hard to move towards the implementation of the Asakuda system. So, and I'd really like to thank Director Joe Mofnas for his partnership in this. So what are some of the benefits that we see? Well, first of all, this Asakuda is owned by the United Nations. So the software itself is free. It's used in over 100 countries, including our neighbors, some of our neighbors here in the Micronesia region. And how does this help you as policymakers? Well, imagine if you could see in real time the revenue that's being generated at all of our ports of entry, which are, of course, critical because we import so many things, but we also export. This helps us to also understand where we can make more headway and have more impact in our food system and in general in the goods. One of the challenges that we've come across in green growth is that we have an inability currently to calculate our GDP for the CNMI, which is a very important measure for gauging economic growth and economic development. This will help address that. So, and finally, we'll see enhanced efficiencies for businesses, faster times to get their cargo released, paperless transactions, payment, all online. This is a very tested system, and this particular image is a slice of the dashboard from Palau. So you can see they're tracking in real time the import excise collections that have come into Palau during this period. So very exciting stuff. Again, I want to thank Division of Customs and Biosecurity for their partnership with this. And with that, thank you very much for your attention. I'm always here to answer any questions that you have about NMC CREES. Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Dean Patty. So, improving our economy, developing our food security, and helping the CNMI government collect more revenue. That's just a sample of the many great things we are doing at NMC. In addition to taking care of our community, we want to assure you that we are responsible stewards of the resources and the funds that you've invested in NMC. So now we'd like to talk about what we are doing to take care of our resources. And of course, everyone driving by our Astrolahi campus notices the student center. And that's just the beginning of many great things to come. And so I'd like to turn it over to our Vice President, Frankie Liptico, to talk about what you can expect with our new facilities.
Thank you, President. Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, members of the Ways and Means Committee. It's great to be here with you again. For the past few years, we've been coming to this budget hearing, letting you know that a new NMC is coming. And thanks to the people and to the passion, to the dedication, and to the commitment of the individuals behind me and next to me, and especially for your support, I want to say today in front of you that a new NMC is here. And I just want to take that in because it's been a long road. The next photo, which I'll share, I've been sharing this photo as we've been coming here asking for your support, asking for funding support. And this was only 3 years ago. It was a concept. It was an idea that has come to fruition. And I want to show you what it looks like today through this short video. This shot was taken 1 year ago. It's a time-lapse video. This shot was taken 6 months ago. And today, ladies and gentlemen, this is what the building looks like. So the building that you just saw doesn't just represent the hopes and dreams of our NMC community, but the larger Marianas community. This is currently the largest public project in the entire Marianas. And when we go to construction for the other 4 buildings that we are going to bid in the next few months, the Northern Marianas College will be the busiest and largest construction site in Micronesia. So more than ever, members of the Ways and Means Committee, when you're deliberating the budget, please have that in mind. And on the next slide, I'll go ahead and share some of the renderings. Again, we've shown you our proven track record, how renderings, what was an idea, the college has turned into reality. So we are not here just to do a dog and pony show to show some pictures that are not going to become reality. We at Northern Marianas College are committed to turning concepts, ideas, and dreams into reality. So the first photo you saw there, or you see here, I want to thank the members of the SNILD for their funding support. Chairman JP, Vice Chair BJ, thank you so much, and the members of the SNILD for their assistance in funding this road project. Without this road project, we wouldn't be able to use the land that the former road was using for the area that we will be building our new buildings. So earlier in April, we did a ribbon cutting ceremony, and now the road is back on the designated right-of-way, and we have renamed what was Finasisu Lane as College Lane, letting people know that once you're in this vicinity, it represents that you're in a place near the Northern Marianas College, a place of learning and a place of aspiration and growth. So again, Finasisu Lane is now called College Lane, completed in April of 2025. And again, thank you to the members of SNILD. We want to thank our partners at CETA, the Department of Public Works, and other agencies who have helped us complete this road. What you see there is the unpaved road, but it is completely paved and is now being used by the residents of that are located west of the campus. Next photo. The other buildings that are going to be bid over the next several months. The first one you see here is the Center for Research, Extension and Development, which will house a lot of the programs and activities that Dean Patty just talked about. It's going to be one of the most beautiful and functional and advanced research facilities in the entire region, thanks to the forward thinking of our CREASE team. So that will be completed in the latter part of next year. Our next building is the Workforce Development and Training Center. This will house the business department of the college, the nursing department, the SBDC, and the Center for Training and Innovation, which Geraldine just spoke about. So many of the workforce programs will be housed in this building. Again, the target completion date is fall 2026. We are at 100% design, and this is a shovel-ready project. We are about to bid it. The next building you will see, and again, I want to pause on this schematic that you see in front of you, because this is our facilities master plan. And many of you have been around long enough to see plans in the CNMI be built. We spend a lot of money in, and then they die a slow death because nobody moves them forward. I want to let you know that the college is committed to moving and advancing our facilities master plan, which is before you, and we are building it one at a time, living within our means and doing what we can with the little that we have. So the next two buildings, through the partnership of NMHC and funding made available through the CDBG-DR programs, we're building 2 classroom buildings. We are not immune to the financial challenges that we face here as a Commonwealth, and also what we face internationally, with inflation rates and the cost of construction and the cost of labor going up. So right now we have the funds to be able to build 2 one-story buildings, but we are working with our partners at the governor's office, at the PAO, and many other partners to be able to build the second story of those 2 buildings as those funds become available, so that we can make sure that we have adequate spaces. And I want to point out also that although we're calling these classroom buildings, what they are training spaces. So when you and anybody else in the CNMI needs a conference center, we will have those facilities. We will be able to host more often and more efficiently conferences that will be able to utilize our entire campus. From large spaces to these small breakout sessions, you can use our classroom buildings, our other buildings, and we can make that a whole new industry in conference tourism. So next slide, please. I think that completes my presentation. I do want to say, before I turn it back to the President, the projects that you saw, I just want to emphasize this all the time, represent more than $100 million of investment that the college has secured on its own through federal sources. So we need your help to move them forward. So what we are asking and what we are sharing is that the money that is being generated through tax revenue is more than what we normally get in appropriations. So what we ask for is your support. So when you take a look again at that budget and what is allocated to the college, please think about the funds that we are bringing into the Commonwealth in these federal dollars. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vice President Frankie. And really, the college owes a debt of gratitude to Vice President. The entire community owes a debt of gratitude to him, because he started these projects when he was interim president, and he worked with the Proa tribe to get out there and find those funds. And he continues to be laser focused on ensuring that we develop and implement our facilities master plan. And we meet almost daily, sometimes through the weekends, to ensure that that happens, to find additional resources. So this is one example of how the college is taking what little resources we have and generated a generous return on that investment. And we've been able to do that because we've been very responsible stewards of our limited financial resources. So to speak to that, Chairman, if I may, I'd like to call up our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. David Atao, to speak a little bit about what we are doing to ensure that we are taking care of the money that you are investing in NMC.
I emailed you guys that message. So I was a little nervous too. Can you hear me? Monica? Listen one way. Afadi, good morning. Chairman, Vice Chair, members of this August body, press and Vice President team, and Vicky, Jazz. So, and our community, the college really takes your support and your funding very seriously. We don't ever try to, how do you say this in English? We try our best to make sure that we are responsible and we deliver properly for our students and all of us in our community, because that's what we are here for. So the money that's provided to the college has been taken care of for 17 straight years. I cannot take credit for this. I have to give this to the prior CFOs and our team members and our employees, because they're the ones that follow and listen and they respect the processes that's available, as well as our management and our board for supporting us. But 17 years of favorable audit opinions has really opened up a lot of doors for NMC, where other people want us to manage their money, but we don't have the resources to do that, but we can. We can try our best to make sure that others are also complying and coming into this game. And you can trust us in that sense, right? Not only does the federal government trust us, we hope that the community continues to trust us. That makes us a low-risk auditee, which means that almost every grant that we get is backed by some assurance from these entities outside of the CNMI that we are trustworthy in that sense. Accreditation-wise, this is very important. We're supposed to have at least 3 to 7 years of solid financial records. We've exceeded that, and we continue to do so, given the limited funds that you provide us. And we maximize on everything else. VP Frankie and the president mentioned a lot about grants. Our team here have worked to get over 34 grants, right? It averages about $87 million. $66 million of that is construction related. So everything else we have to fund our own ways or find ways to make it happen. And these guys deserve the credit for that as well as our community. We were commended for financial management in the last accreditation report, our 8 years of report, and we continue to strive to make that happen. But we need your help to do that, right? We cannot just keep doing it, but nothing to support us back, right? So we just want to make sure that we have that opportunity to come here and humbly ask for your support and continue doing our jobs to the best of our ability, but always honoring and respecting the process. We try our best to make sure everything happens, and you see our members here. Some of our members are on our team on the screen. You never see me there because I want to move on to the next step. But thank you. If you have any questions, I'll be here again later to answer any details or try to. No?
Okay. Thank you, CFO. You're taking the photo, right? So thank you very much, CFO Dave. And obviously we're doing a lot, right? We're managing our resources well. We're using our resources to build new facilities. We're offering a lot of programs and services to our community. And all of that is very public, right? But what you may not see behind the scenes is another incredible transformation happening at Northern Marianas College. And it has to deal with our information technology infrastructure. So, Chairman, if I may, I'd like to call up our IT director, Mr. Cliff Aldan, who will talk about something that's really, really exciting, but it's not really public yet, but once it comes this fall, it'll be transformative for our entire college and our entire community.
Buenos distinguished members of the House, I am Cliff Aldan, NMCL IT Director, presenting our digital migration progress under Take Care of Our Resources. Since the last budget hearing, we have made significant strides on our One Pro initiative. Our integrated digital data system, powered by Illusion Colleague, streamlines administrative processes and ensures data consistency across all departments. We successfully went live with Colleague's finance, records, and registration modules, with additional modules launching before fall semester. This fall will mark our first semester operating the complete cloud-based system. By leveraging cloud technology, we will have highly available data system that remains operational even when physical infrastructure is compromised by typhoons or other natural disasters. Illusion Colleague joins NMC's growing cloud solutions portfolio alongside our learning management system with additional cloud migrations planned. We are working to build tighter integrations and automations with these various cloud systems that will enhance and improve the college capabilities, empowering students with seamless access to all academic resources, faculty with comprehensive tools for teaching and assessment, and staff with efficient workflows that eliminate manual and redundant data entry. This initiative addresses our accrediting body's recommendations to centralize data for informed college-wide decisions with modern analytics that enable evidence-based planning to improve overall student outcomes. Our entire pro community has been engaged from day one, ensuring the system meets current and future needs. This digital transformation represents one of several initiatives making NMC more efficient, disaster resilient, and agile in student engagement. Together, as one PROA, we are building a sustainable ecosystem benefiting our students, our community, and our future generations. Thank you for your continued support of this critical modernization effort.
Thank you very much, Director Cliff. Appreciate it. If you want to re-enroll at NMC, you can see what this is like, or maybe we can do a demonstration for you. But this is going to be exciting. We're going to be moving into full implementation this coming fall, and it's going to just change the game here in the CNMI. And we see a lot of automation taking place in the CNMI, and we love that we are one of those entities leading that effort. So we do our best to take care of our community, to take care of our resources, but really at the end of the day, it's about taking care of our people. So Chairman, we'd like to move into the last segment of our presentation where we talk about what we are doing to take care of our people, whether it be our students, our employees, or our broader community. So I'd like to turn it over to our Dean of Student Support Services and our Accreditation Liaison Officer, Charlotte Cepeda, to talk about some of the efforts that she and her team are leading at the college.
Thank you, Dr. G. I think I'm a bit short. I need to lean in a little bit. I often say I get the best part because I get to speak about our students. I get to speak about how we help our students, and today I get to speak about how we help our students with career support. Good morning, and thank you very much for having us, and thank you most especially for supporting Northern Marianas College's mission of cultivating stewardship through scholarship. NMC plays a vital role in student success and workforce development in the CNMI through programs like our career services, our rapid response team, the technology partners increasing employment through coordinated services, or tech pieces, and Project PROA. These are just a few of the services that I want to highlight today for you. The NMC Career Services offers pathway workshops. They help students and graduates with resume writing, job skills, and even mock interviews. They host career fairs, the most recent serving about 237 students and graduates. Our career services also organizes job shadowing and site tours to connect students with local employers. Our career services uses an online platform called Handshake. And what it does is it links our 750 NMC students and graduates to over 750,000 employers, 30 being from the CNMI. I was really excited to see that 80% of the students using Handshake do indeed find a job or internship opportunity. Another thing that we do to ensure that we are providing supports for workforce success is that recently, NMC created what was called a rapid response team, and the team is required to provide immediate coordinated support for displaced workers. We know that there are businesses shutting down at this point. And so this team is put together so that we can help to reskill and upskill, provide opportunities for both by connecting displaced workers with NMC programs and trainings, and to even provide them information on other program availability, such as the SBDC, if they want to become entrepreneurs. The rapid response team is activated during business closures as well, and to offer retraining and training, and transition assistance, excuse me. Another thing I want to speak about today is our technology partners increasing employment through coordinated services, or our tech pieces. This is also new to NMC. What it is a 5-year, $9 million collaborative interagency grant that focuses on career readiness and supporting individuals with developmental disabilities as they transition from education to employment. This project uses a holistic approach to expand equal opportunity through comprehensive and person-centered support. So what does that mean? The University of Center of Excellence in Developmental Disabilities, or UCED, leads this effort to ensure that all participants are provided what we call wraparound services. So UCED provides research, training, and technical assistance. The Council for Developmental Disabilities will provide advocacy, systems change, and leadership development. The Center for Living Independently will provide life skills training, peer support, and employment readiness. NM Tech is also part of this, and they will provide vocational and technical education. And the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation will provide career counseling, job placement, and support services. We also have external assessments through San Diego State University. This project is intended to train up to 20 participants per year for the next 5 years in 2 areas. Area 1 being technology. So we're going to provide access, training, and individualized technical supports to our participants. And Area 2 is career coaching, or the people part. So career coaching will provide job placement, counseling, life skills, and family involvement, which is a really, really big piece of this puzzle. These areas combined will form a wraparound, person-centered approach to employment readiness. Next slide. Okay. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about our Project PROA also. So Project PROA helps Indigenous and underrepresented students transition into college and STEM careers. It supports students through what we call the PROA pathway, and offers free tutoring and mentoring. We also just finished up a Camp PROA, and offers career exploration opportunities and internships. Project PROA, through its PROA Pathways, has partnered with Portland State University, supporting 59 STEM scholars and 38 transfer students, with 11 more students intended to transfer to PSU in fall of 2026 as research trainees. These transfer students pursue degrees in fields such as biology, public health, preclinical health sciences, social work, physics, computer science, pre-pharmacy, engineering, and environmental studies and science. So we are building the workforce needs that we have. We've had 4 recent graduates who are intending to come back to serve us, to serve the community. And then the final thing I wanted to talk about a little bit more was the University Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities, or again, our UCED, that lead for our Tech Pieces grant. So UCED serves as a bridge between NMC and the community in meeting the needs of individuals with developmental disabilities. Just last weekend, UCED hosted its 2025 summit, Educate, Advocate, and Elevate. Like, how powerful is that, right? With over 100 participants, building on the Stronger Together movement, where parents were offered the opportunity to learn some American Sign Language and Braille as well. UCED also has conducted and will continue to conduct numerous self-advocacy and emergency preparation workshops, as well as employment training sessions across Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda. These are just a handful of programs available that supports our students in career readiness. Supports that they deserve, supports that our community deserves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dean Shar. She always prioritizes students, and it comes through with not just her programs, but with her and her service. We also are doing a lot by way of workforce development, and I want to circle back to that because we have someone who is no stranger to workforce development. She does this she's been doing this for a long time now, and now she's been able to serve the college as the interim dean for academic programs and services. So, Chairman, if I may, have our Dean Lorraine Cabrera Maui, to speak about workforce development.
Thank you, Dr. G. Good morning, Hafaday and Tiro. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you today. We recently celebrated the graduation of 289 proud PROAs, compared to last year's 267, one of our largest ever in the college's 40-plus years history. 75% of tracked 2024 graduates, last year's graduates, entered directly into the CNMI workforce, while the remaining continue on to more advanced degrees. Preliminary reports for the most recent 2025 graduates, just this last May, are showing that in the 190 of the 289 graduates who responded to the exit surveys, 23% plan to continue in their current jobs, part-time and full-time. 42% plan to continue their education, already enrolled or planning to enroll, and 31% are seeking employment. The remaining 4% are currently not seeking employment or undecided. We partner with community employers to provide opportunities allowing individuals to gain specialized skills for various fields. NMC places a strong emphasis on work-based learning programs, such as internships, clinicals, and practicums. It provides students with practical experience, bridge the gap between academic knowledge and real-world application, and prepare them for successful careers in the CNMI workforce. These programs are a crucial component of NMC's commitment to workforce development. Northern Marianas College is committed to developing a workforce with comprehensive and accessible career pathway opportunities for individuals in the CNMI that align with industry needs, resulting in measurable economic advancements. NMC degree programs are launching their program advisory councils, their PACs, to ensure its academic and workforce development programs are relevant, high quality, and meet the evolving needs of the CNMI community and economy. These councils serve as vital links between the college and various stakeholders. PACs will also look at emerging trends, what new technologies, practices, or areas of growth are impacting their industry, and curriculum review to offer feedback on course content, ensuring it is up-to-date and practical. The advisory councils will contribute to the overall quality and relevance of NMC's programs. We continue to offer integrated education and training opportunities to allow all future workforce individuals in the CNMI to prepare and meet the ever-changing demands of tomorrow's jobs. Law enforcement academies are critical for developing a skilled and professional law enforcement workforce in the CNMI, providing both foundational knowledge and practical hands-on training for aspiring officers. IT-related certificates will be integrated into the computer science curriculum for students graduating from the program to earn both a degree and a certificate, an IT certificate. NMC's approach to IT education aims to provide both foundational computer literacy for the general workforce and more specialized training to prepare individuals for specific IT roles and industry demands in the CNMI. Protecting and managing our island environment has increased significantly, marking the need to incorporate traditional practices with current environmental learning. Safeguarding traditional ocean wisdom and education, STOW, is a major workforce development initiative housed under the Natural Resource Management Program. It specifically aims to build local capacity by preparing CNMI-based students for careers in conservation, ocean stewardship, and sustainable resource management. As part of the initiative, NMC's NRM is working towards the development of a 4-year bachelor's degree pathway in natural resource management, while also expanding options within the existing associate degree programs. Most graduates choose to stay here in the CNMI, contributing to the workforce, economic recovery, and overall success of our community. NMC continues to demonstrate its commitment to producing graduates who are not only academically prepared, but also possess the practical skills and experience necessary to thrive in the CNMI's dynamic economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean Rain. And what a great way to segue into our final segment. Workforce development, economic recovery, but most important is what we are doing to improve the lives of those who come to NMC and through NMC. So Chairman, we like to brag about our students because we are so proud of them, and we'd like to talk about a handful of them. For instance, our recent graduates from the Natural Resource Management Program. Anufat Mark Tralahi Pangilinan is a passionate indigenous environmental steward who he researched invasive yellow crazy ants, of all things. He's presented at several conferences, and he's served as a forestry technician. Jude Dominic Lutulamar is a passionate environmental advocate and student leader who has represented his community with pride, blending youth leadership and indigenous knowledge, uplifting voices, building solutions, and building a sustainable future for the Marianas. And Kina Pua Rangamar is a Tasi Watch Ranger who works at the Friends of the Marianas Trench and was a full-time student athlete who represented the CNMI in track at the Micronesian Games and the Oceania Cup. As you know, we also have a very vibrant nursing program, and we are very proud to say that students like Christine De Leon Guerrero, Miley Aldrich, and Sua Sakiset are just a few of the many graduates from our nursing program that are passing the NCLEX RN. And this ensures that, not only do they meet national standards and meet critical workforce needs, but that they are contributing in a very meaningful way to the health and welfare of our community. But I think what makes me most proud about our students is those students who have overcome so much to arrive at where they're at. So one such student is Olivia Aldan. She was a non-traditional student, and she lost her husband not too long ago. But she found the courage and determination to return to college after nearly 30 years. She persisted through some pretty tough classes, including math classes, and she graduated with her associate's degree in liberal arts. Adriana Tamparang was someone who was able to balance work at Gold's Gym. She was a intern at CHCC, and she was also a full-time student. And she was able to use her discipline, dedication, and passion for health and wellness to earn her degree. Sheila Quimzon is someone who is really inspiring. She started back in 2013, I'm sorry. What's really interesting about Sheila is that she lives with epilepsy. And this causes seizures and leaves the left side of her body a little weaker than the right side. But she did not let that hold her back. She may have taken 12 years, but a few weeks ago, she graduated with her associate's degree in liberal arts. We have a few more students who have overcome so much adversity. Petra Babauta Costro lost her father to cancer during her final year. But with support from her Project Pro family, she graduated with a degree in hospitality and management and is now heading as part of the Pro Pathways program to Portland State University. Kate Garcia was a single mom whose brothers, Kyle and Carl, stepped in as co-parents and encouraged her to go back to school. And recently, she and Carl graduated with a bachelor's degrees in business management. And in one particularly inspiring story, despite surviving an abusive marriage and overcoming years of trauma and losing her father last year, Clarissa King was able to raise her daughter all by herself, work part-time, and take full-time classes until finally graduating with her bachelor's in education. These stories matter because this is who we are, this is what we do, this is why we exist at NMC, is to help students like these, to help members of our community overcome adversity and become the best versions of themselves who contribute not just to the economy, not just to the community, but contribute to their own lives and to their own families. And as some of you know, I'm a filmmaker, right? I like to tell stories on stage and in film, and there's so many more stories we want to tell, but if I may, Chairman, just for another 5 minutes, we've been able to compile some of these stories in an amazing video that was just launched last week, and we'd like to share that video with you that really helps tell the enduring spirit of the Proa tribe.
Close your eyes. Now take a deep breath. It's all part of the memory. Because this is one of those very rare days that you will always remember. You always remember it. So be here, not just for the gram, but for the feeling.
The last 4 years of hard work from me, my parents, and my friends have finally culminated into this.
Today is really a day where we all get to enjoy the fruits of our labor as a student, as a pro. This day means a lot to me.
Worked so hard to come back after our break. It's been a special day that I've been waiting since I graduated high school since 2017. So it's been 8 years.
So much sacrifice went into this.
There's a lot of emotions right now, like walking on the stage. When they were calling my name, I was gonna cry, but I had to hold it back because the makeup.
I'm so ecstatic right now. I'm so happy of how far I've come.
This is a big day for me. I'm so proud of myself. Thank God.
I'm taking another step in the milestone.
This day just means a lot to me.
I'm tired.
Everything is ending and I like it. This certain season has ended for us.
It's so bittersweet. It's a new chapter moving on.
I feel very excited but also scared because I don't know what will happen next in my pathway.
One such truth is very apparent in our world today. In Star Wars, these forces come from what is known as the dark side. But there is also a group of people who fight this empire. The leaders of our rebel alliance sit right before us, and these graduates who have rebelled against some of the darkest challenges to emerge as luminaries of hope and resilience.
At some point, you made a decision to do more for yourself. You had a vision, you had people behind you, you kept showing up.
I think whatever I choose is the right path, guys. So it's an honor to my resilience, to my strength.
At the same time, I've taken on even more weight now because it's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning for me.
This is honestly just the beginning of a new journey for me, but this is just the beginning. This is the beginning of a new tomorrow. And we'll see where life takes me. I can't wait to see what the future brings for me.
I can't wait for more, so there's too many more future self. I love you.
We're truly grateful for the opportunities that NMC has given to us, but now we're entering a new chapter in our lives.
So whatever comes next, whatever title you earn, whatever career you build, don't forget what got you here.
I dedicate this to my grandma, who suddenly passed.
I dedicate this to my mom, my mom passed away when I was 13. But I also love to dedicate this to my dad, who played both roles.
Thankful for everyone that supported me on my journey.
I have many cohorts, many colleagues that I can proudly say are going to lead the CNMI well in terms of sustainability and environmentalism.
It wasn't just your grades. It wasn't just your hustle. It was the reason behind it. And that reason, that why, is the most powerful thing you've got.
No matter where our journey takes us, we carry the same truth. We are not meant to be confined. We are meant to explore.
Ready to tackle new challenges and experiences? So here's to adventure! Viva NMC! Viva School of Education!
Finally can say that I got my bachelor's degree and I would like to be a school counselor or a teacher one day.
To start like a future in a career that I love doing.
So those who took a break from school, you can do it, you can achieve your dreams, it's never too late.
I'm really honored to finally make it to this graduation day amongst all these amazing pros of people of Tautotano, Tautotasi, Libra de Tori Tautotano, Gitoru Itano.
These are the lives of NMC graduates. These are the lives of your constituents. These are the lives of our people in the Marianas. And yes, we need to improve our economy. Yes, we need to develop our workforce. But most importantly, we need to improve the lives of the people that call the Marianas home. And that's what NMC is all about. That's what we do day in, day out. And let me tell you, it's a lot of work, but with your help, we can do a lot more. And we're just getting started. Next year, we celebrate 45 years since we were first chartered in 1981. And we have a lot to celebrate. We are going to look back and remember all the wonderful things that we have done with your help. But more importantly, we are looking ahead, because our ancestors didn't just look back at where they came from. They were constantly charting a course forward, looking ahead to find out what lay just beyond the horizon. So 45 years is a lot to celebrate. But like I said, we're just getting started, and we invite you to take us further and to join the party and to help us celebrate and move forward with another 45 years. Chairman, thank you very much. I yield my time.
Thank you, Mr. President, and to your team for a very informative presentation. We thank you guys for your hard work over the years. But let's get to the budget request and the proposal from the governor. So I know that we see before us that NMC's total budget request is at 15.3 million. But to compare this year's current fiscal year budget at 2025 budget versus the governor's proposed fiscal year 2026 budget, there is an increase of 2 million under the governor's proposal. I also see that with NOPs, your current budget allocation, you have NOPs at the tune of 178. Is that correct?
NOPs?
Number of positions.
Yes. Yes, that is correct, but it doesn't mean that they're all filled right now.
Right, I know, because I see that there are vacancies too, but with the governor's proposal on this upcoming fiscal year, it's at 166. So there is a variance of difference, a decrease of 12 NOPs. So perhaps my question to you is, does that impact the operation of NMC?
Absolutely.
With the decrease of 12 NOPs?
It does. I mean, we have several vacancies. Everyone is wearing multiple hats, and everyone's spread thin. You know, it's taking a toll on people's mental health, and we're doing our best to take care of that with the limited positions that we have. But yeah, you know, there are many vacancies that go unfilled, and it just means that someone else has to do more work. So absolutely, if we have to cut positions and not fill vacancies, that hampers our ability to serve our students and serve our community.
So what are the efforts being made by NMC and your team in trying to fill these vacancies?
Well, there are really two things we need to do. We need to identify funding for the vacancies, and then to fill the vacancies. Identifying funding is an ongoing struggle. We do our best with the appropriations budget, and if we can find some funds from, you know, from our grants to fund positions, we do that as well. But even if we have the funds, sometimes it can be really difficult because it's hard to recruit. You know, we're experiencing a brain drain in the CNMI, so to recruit and retain qualified personnel is a constant challenge. But we get out there, we advertise positions, we conduct interviews, we screen applicants, and if we don't find someone, then we try to re-announce. But it's a constant struggle, Chairman.
Thank you for that response, Mr. President. I also see on NMC's budget request of a tune of 800,000 for utilities. Apparently, the governor's proposal does not give any funding for that matter. So, but with the increase of 2 million in your operations, perhaps do you plan to use those funds to cater to utilities, as we can see that it's reflective on your requests? And I know that there was zero funds provided perhaps for this current budget for utilities. So what source of funding are you using to pay the utilities there in NMC?
Like I said, we do our best to leverage our federal grants and programs for, you know, administrative costs, and some of those funds go towards utilities. If necessary, we will tap into our operations funds, but those funds should really go towards helping our students. But I can assure you, Chairman, we pay our utility bill on time, and we are looking at green alternatives. So the new student center will have a solar array on the roof, and we're working closely with CUC to make sure that we can make the best use of that to reduce our utility costs.
Okay, thank you for that response, Dr. G. And now I'll open up the questions to our members, and this time I recognize the Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. President, to the NMCT for joining us this morning. It's just a follow-up question in regards to the NLP. So we got a list under the on the budget submission that have quite a few more vacancies on top of the difference between the 166 or 178 and 166 that the governor submitted to the body, and I see a lot of these names that are listed as vice positions are actually here today. I'm just wondering if they were changed in position, or are they vacating the position in the near future?
If I may have our Vice President speak to that.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair. So what the college does is the changes for personnel changes or evolves over the past, even within the year. So what happens is throughout the year, we identify priorities. So when we defund a particular position to fund another position because that particular position is more needed. So we go through a system of prioritization at every beginning of the year to identify those positions that are needed for that year. We never ever receive sufficient funding from appropriations. And I'll just say it again. We never ever receive the sufficient funds from appropriations to be able to fund the full slate of employees that are needed at the college. So as the president mentioned, we wear a number of hats, many of us do. And what happens is we lose employees because we give them too much or they are wearing too many hats, and burnout is a real thing. But as we go through the year, back to your question, we do prioritize positions, and sometimes we do have an access and tap fund grant sources, for example, that give us indirect costs or other types of funding that allow us to hire for a particular period. So we'll use those funding sources so that we can free up the local sources. But those sources always have a time period. They expire within the year or within 2 years. So after they expire, then we have to transfer them to another source. So it's always we're always moving employees from one account to another to be able to keep them, because although the funding goes away, that function does not go away. We still need, for example, a CIP director or other critical positions at the college. Just because a grant is ending doesn't mean the position is no longer needed. I do want to add to that the historic nature of the college. I don't say that very often, that we are in a historic growth mode. So we do need all hands on deck. We are not a shrinking institution. We are a growing institution, physically, digitally, and the number of warm bodies, right? The number of students coming to the Northern Marianas College who are looking to the college for their professional advancement and for their professional growth. Government agencies are looking to NMC, whether it's for mentorship, whether it's for marketing services, whether it's for other types of consultancy. They're looking to the college. So there are a number of considerations that go into funding a position. So we will sometimes have one employee paid by 3 different funding sources just to make those employees continue their employment. I do want to say that no one at the college is a civil service employee. So that is also, we're all on a 2-year contract. And so we have to make sure, and we want to preserve and maintain our employees because they mean so much to us, but we always want to make sure that we are saving and making certain that we are prudent with our financial resources so their employment can continue. So again, just because the funding source goes away doesn't mean the function goes away. I hope that answers your question.
Oh, yes, and thank you for that. I was just looking at this list, and I see some of the individuals here. I'm like, and they're showing us vice positions. So, and that's a total amount of roughly $6 million for all those positions. Um, Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. But NMC through the budget process only gets total and operational costs, which covers your personnel costs. And it gives you guys the ability to whether to create new positions as needed for the college or to take away positions as needed for the college. Correct?
That is correct, Vice Chairman.
And I know that the college doesn't ever get what it asked for, but on a general question, as we do for every line item department, do they keep that as a fiscal year limitation, or do they allow NMC to carry over funds?
I'm not aware of us carrying over funds. We spend within our means, and we monitor our monthly allotments and quarterly allotments very closely.
Yes, thank you, President. We do, as Dr. G says, we rarely carry over any funds because we utilize every single dollar that we get in appropriations for personnel, mostly for personnel. We do put in, as Ms. Vicky knows, we put in requests for utilities, contingency fees for our construction. As you know, a lot of these grants are reimbursement basis, so we have to put out NMC cash before we are reimbursed by the grant. So we use a lot of the funding that we get from our tuition and fees. And those funding really should be used to grow academic programs and services. Yet we are using them to pay for utilities. And that really shouldn't be the ideal case. But we've had to do that because we don't have any other funding source that pays for utilities and other types of things. We need to keep the lights on. And so because we use 100% of the funding that we get from the legislature to fund personnel, we have to be creative with the other funding sources, for example, tuition and fees, to be able to pay utilities, to pay school supplies, to pay subscriptions like technology subscriptions, to keep the computer labs open, to make sure the students get their the technology needs that they need. As you know, as technology advances, so do the expenses associated with those technologies. So we want to make sure that we are not capping the access to students' technologies because we are limited with our appropriations. We do tap into those different funding sources, but we do, just to go back to your question, a majority, if not 100% of the funding that we get from the legislature is dedicated to personnel, and the cost for the college is more than the appropriated funds.
Thank you for that, VP. With the current budget request from NMC and the hard dates that you guys have already have for the new facilities, are those included in this budget request?
Yes, Vice Chair, we've included in there funds to help us with facilities. As VP mentioned earlier, a lot of these grants, NMC has to front the cash, and we then have to wait for drawdowns, reimbursements, disbursements. But also there are many additional elements of our facilities master plan that are not funded. And then we're also looking ahead. We're going to need to be able to maintain these buildings. It's one thing to build nice buildings. It's another to maintain them. So that we have included facilities funds in our budget requests.
Thank you. May I add to that, Vice Chair, if you don't mind?
Please.
And one of the line items is for construction is $3.6 million, and really that helps because as we're seeing increase in costs, we're building 4 more buildings. At the end of next year, we'll have 5 new buildings. So the 3.6 really, I know it won't be sufficient as we're seeing escalated costs, whether it's through labor, construction materials, or other types of things. We're running into that right now, but we want to complete those. But one of the things, we don't come here empty-handed and say we need the money. We also are trying to do our best. We are also required to match the SBDC. We're required to do matches for CREs. But we are very proactive about asking for waivers so that we can reduce the overall cost of the college. And we've been successful at that. However, we cannot count on it because these federal grantors, sometimes it's only the CNMI that has received the waiver because we put together a great justification, but they're saying, hey, at some point, you're going to have to match the funds that we give you because your neighbor to the south in Guam or the other territories are matching it, and why can't you? So we that's why we put it on here, but we will continue to ask for those waivers. But at some point, they will be asking, and they're already asking, by the way, they're asking why we are not providing those waivers. And the waivers, the match requests are listed on here. We don't take for granted that we get match waivers. It's quite a process to ask for these waivers. But again, we've been lucky, especially with the SBDC. We got the first waiver that they ever provided, I think, to the entire SBDC program. But we asked for it and we got it, but we can't count on it. So again, my main message is that although we're asking for all these different pockets of funds, we are also asking for funding that may not be waived or requirements that may not be waived in the future. And these grants are coming up in the next fiscal year.
Thank you for that. That was actually my next question. Was this $2.4 million for the SBDC? I know that's part of the ask of the $15 million, or is this an additional ask?
Yes, Vice Chair. And one of the things that we need to keep in mind is the changing federal landscape when it comes to federally funded programs. And we've been very diligent and in seeking these waivers and obtaining them. But like VP Frankie said, we shouldn't come to rely on that, whether it be for the Small Business Development Center or our CREASE land grant program.
Thank you for that. And just last question for now. Back to the CREASE program. Thank you for your presentation, Patty. I know that you guys are working on patents and stuff for food products here in the CNMI. Have you guys been working with the Commerce with the CNMI product seal right now?
That's a great question, Vice Chairman. In terms of product development, we're not yet at that point, but we will be sure to do that. We do engage with them regularly just to kind of update each other on what we're doing. We share some mutual clients as well, but we are not yet at that point, but we certainly will once our product development is to that stage.
How about at least for the product seal itself? For the CNMI's product seal, I think they're working on the regulations right now, and maybe that's something that we can work with NMC through Commerce and to utilize even the hot pepper on Tinian, right? To create a Tinian product seal or a Rhoda product seal for their sweet potatoes, so we can leverage some of that money that we're gonna earn from the exportation of these products and assist move some of those funds over towards NMC to address it. So you can kind of create your own revolving account and make sure that Commerce is doing its due diligence in policing the businesses here or businesses that are importing stuff using our seals as their way of promoting their businesses or their products. Maybe that's one way we can assist NMC right off the bat. Right now that the product seal is in place, and then we can work with the Tinian product seal and a Rhoda product seal for their natural resources that they actually export to the different islands or even out to the U.S. Right? So maybe that's an option that we can start moving forward right now with them while they're working on their regulations. Maybe part of their regulations can include NMC as a receiver of some of these funds, because the NMC CREASE is working on patents and different products for the CNMI. If that's something we can ask Mr. President. I know Ms. Patty's doing a lot of work with CREASE, but now that they're working on their regulations, we might as well start getting our hands into that before they finalize the regulations.
Absolutely.
Right. Thank you very much, and I yield my time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Any members? Let me recognize Rep. Marisa Flores and then Rep. Vincent Odon.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, NMC, for being here. Your last video got me at a tearjerker moment, and that as a mother, you can totally, or as parents, we can totally relate to that, and the success of these children and their smiles on their faces. really puts a price tag on the ask and what we are trying to do as policymakers, but you guys as a leadership and a management molding these curious minds. I'm going to focus more, the fiscal stuff of this because I see, and I'm going back to your 2025 submission to kind of gauge where we're at and see what the differences were, and then try to fully understand at least the money portion of that. And so I'm looking at one of your business units account, which has the bulk of the funds. And last year it was at, I believe, 14 million. And it doesn't tell me this, it just says general fund, business unit 1605. Are you familiar with that business unit?
Yes, I am, but if I may yield to our Vice President and perhaps our CFO to speak to, because that's a broad account, right?
Yeah, and then I'm going to keep going as we
Yes,
go to
yes,
kind of
yes, yes.
understand the influx and the decrease.
Understood. So if I may invite our CFO to join us
Is that okay?
to assist the Vice President and myself in answering some of your questions. Vice Chair, Chairman's out, so may we have our CFO join us?
Please.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Attel.
Good morning, Rep. Your question about Business Unit 1605,
Yeah.
that's the government's identification of NMC.
Okay.
So that's general,
So this is where all of the appropriation money goes in.
correct.
And this is where this account, no federal funds can commingle into this account.
We do not commingle federal funds. if we
Right.
go.
So a lot of your grants say you cannot commingle federal and local. Is that
We
right?
separate all
Separate?
of that.
Okay,
Yeah, those
that's
are
good.
totally separate.
So that takes me then to last year. You had indicated in this business unit, 1605, vacancies of 34 and new FTEs at 20. So I'm going to go to the new FTEs. Have all of those FTEs been filled in fiscal year 2025?
No, they have not.
They have not. Do you know off the top of your head how many of those FTEs are still in limbo or still there trying to be filled?
CFO?
We, like earlier VP mentioned, a prioritization. So
Okay.
we prioritize the positions.
Okay.
Some FTEs are still outstanding. However, based on the college's needs, we repurpose them or have kept the FTE there under a vacant or a new position.
Okay.
Transferred over.
All right. So last year, the ask was $1.1 million to fund the new FTEs. This year, I believe it's up 500,000 with a plus of 9 new FTEs. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And these, again, once again, locally funded through
Yes.
appropriation. Okay.
And Congressman, may I add to that the what is attributed to that increase is as we as our new buildings come online, and also some of the digital migration activities that we are launching, we are having to create new positions that we didn't have or have a need for before. For example, our new buildings for the student center will have an elevator to service 3 stories. We've never had an elevator on campus before. We've had there are other things that very sophisticated HVAC system and many other technologies and maintenance related positions that we will need that we didn't have a need for. We just had a general contractor to be able to fix here and there, but now we need subject matter experts to be on staff so that when they come online later this year, and more come online later in buildings, with the other buildings, we have the staff for that. So you will see some of those positions reflected in the need for the new facilities.
Okay, I'm glad that you guys have repairs and maintenance, because I've said this in many of the other budget hearings. If it's something we're really good at here, is not planning repairs and maintenance. And then it costs 10, 15 times more than what we actually paid for it. So thank you for putting that in there, because that's really important. Okay, and then I noticed that you have other, like for Crease, for example, there is the grant allows for a matching on their retirement, a contribution on their retirement, which is their 401k, which is great. I love that. I guess my question is, did the Board of Regents approve the matching? Because it's really up to the state to decide how much in contributions. You can go up to 5%, you can just not even, you can contribute 1%. But it says that and I don't know if it's changed, but it allows for the maximum of 5%. But in the budget, I guess the DC plan, that is, you guys are contributing 4%? Okay.
I can answer that. Yes, Madam Rep. What we used to do was when people were under the defined benefit, we matched the 5%. So we covered that amount for them, and then they covered the remaining amounts. For the DB, we covered the full 4% on our matching share based on the law. So what the federal grants would do is allow us to follow the main practice across the board.
Okay.
And that's what we do.
Sure,
Yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
So it's some equality.
Yeah, and that's great, and again, right, if you're not really, this is these parts of the money where you're like, where did this come from? And you're looking at this and you're thinking, oh, okay, that's why I understand, right? And I think that it's great that you're allowing your staff and you're helping them plan for their retirement. I think that's very commendable. I think that should be more of a practice, but
And just to-
unfortunately, we don't have the means.
So sorry to interrupt you, Representative. Just to add that, yes, this is board approved. Every time we bring a budget, whether it's operations budget or appropriations budget, this always goes to the board for review.
Okay, good. Thank you. That's
approval.
good to know. And this is all the way around, all your 166 staff? Yeah?
Yes, Representative.
All right. So my next question is, how many federal grants do you have that requires a matching? Or federal awards that require a matching?
At this point, Madam Rep, we have two, which is CREASE at 2.007 million and SBDC at 427,000. The
Okay.
remaining ones, we try our best to not have any matching, so we don't obligate the Sinamay government or ourselves,
Right.
because we understand. the
Right.
situation.
I'm sorry, can you go back to the SBDC? What is the matching?
At this point, it's 427,000.
227?
427,000.
And the other one?
CREASE is 2.07 million. Yes, thank you.
And Representative, there's also, that's just personnel. We also have some matching requirements for some of our facilities projects. So.
Can you give me that number?
Sure. Well, there's several, for example, we have some FEMA funds that are due to the college, and that is a 90-10 allocation, 90 being FEMA and 10% being the local cost for NMC. We also have two EDA projects. Those, fortunately, normally you have to have a match, but we've asked that the match be waived, and they have approved that.
Oh, wonderful.
And again, at every opportunity we ask them to waive the match. FEMA has not waived that match, so we do have to, in all the total for the college is about $30-some million for FEMA reimbursements. So, that represents about 3-point-something million in the match just for FEMA. So, of course, that's not anything that we have in the bank. We would have to also be able to raise that funds or be able to get it from somewhere else. Thankfully, for the student center, we were able to utilize some of the CIP funding
Okay.
that was not utilized in prior years, and they directed it, the CIP office directed it to the college to be able to use that 10%, I mean, to be able to match the FEMA funds.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Liptico. So knowing that we have a matching portion moving forward, is the matching a part of this budget for fiscal year 2026, or does this just cover personnel and fringe benefits?
Our budget request includes the request for matching funds for SBDC increase.
Okay, but not the other one.
You mean the
3.7,
facilities?
yeah.
Well, we would most
Nothing.
certainly use that to help meet that match.
All right, thank you. Okay, so I'm looking at, it says other programs transferred to agencies. What does that mean exactly? I'm not sure what that means. Yeah, Ms. Vicky, if you can enlighten me.
Good morning, everybody. So none of the funds, like whenever NMC needs to expend the funds, what the CNMI does is just puts the money into transfers out expense code, and then on either a weekly basis, it all depends how the cash management is with CNMI Treasury, but it's transferred to NMC, and then they would in turn, allocate those funds according to how they are going to spend it.
So they would have to ask OMB to transfer these monies?
So we allocate the funding under NMC's Munis org under the transfers out to agencies, and then the CNMI Treasury will process the allocation to NMC.
Okay. That's a lot of money, Ms. Vicky.
It is.
So that's there for them if they ask you, or how does that process work? Whatever they wanted, they just ask you?
So the budget appropriation, determines how the allotments are to be processed. So it's on a monthly basis. So allotments are processed on a monthly basis.
Okay.
So up through June is what OMB has processed, and I believe CNMI Treasury has fulfilled, I would say 99% maybe,
Okay.
or 100% of whatever was allotted.
Okay. And then I notice here, Mr. President, that you have a recruitment and repatriation package. Is that a transfer out also?
So whatever the final appropriated amount is, that is what we allocate, and then it's up to NMC how much of that money would be allocated between all the categorical expense that they have on the budget. On our side, on the CNMI side, it's allocated to the transfers out to agencies. What it does when it gets to them, I don't know how it works on their side, but they may have allocated it like the way they submitted it in the budget.
Right. Then that's what I'm looking at, Ms. Vicky. So and that's why I'm asking. I've never seen, maybe, excuse my ignorance, I didn't see it last year. But this year I do see it, and that's, that's a big amount of money. I guess my question, Mr. President, do you have a repatriation package? It's just a yes or no, just so that I can understand, because it's a big amount.
We, in the past, we've had one. And if I could ask our VP to speak to that a bit.
We do have, when we recruit Congresswoman, and sometimes we recruit from off island because the subject matter expert is not from here, we do have, we do fund some of the relocation expenses and some of the expenses associated with securing their licenses, whether it's a visa or other things that allow them to work here. Some of our scientists, for example. But those primarily come out of our operations, meaning the funds that we raise from tuition and fees, and not necessarily from the appropriated fees from the legislature or from OMB.
Okay, thank you. Again, it's a very nice package And it's great that you offer that. I'm really just trying to wrap my head around the need, because I feel like it's important. My biggest concern right now is the maintenance, the matching. That's always huge because we know what is at stake if those aren't met. And paying those off at first glance should be the number one priority, right? But again, that's just how I feel about this. I guess my last question before I guess we round robin to the other colleagues, and thank you, Ms. V, for that, is we live in this technology age. Mr. President, I'm sure you knew Star Wars was going to be somewhat a future of something back in the when we were growing up. And I did notice that you have your classes are very focused on nursing, science, food science, business management, and other disciplines. My question is, moving forward and knowing that, let's assume the island of Tinian now has its staple coin, we must prepare our own commonwealth, right, in areas of technology, in terms of web programming, coding. I don't know if you call that hacking, if that's an art or what, I don't know. But this is what kind of I'm trying to envision, right? Does the college have any plans moving forward to increase this class or this department in terms of meeting the demands of the community? Because we're headed towards that way, and we're headed real quick. And I don't think we're ready.
Well, thank you very much for bringing up that issue. It's something that I get very excited about because we are anticipating and preparing for that need in a number of ways. First is we're not limiting ourselves to our degree programs and our certificate programs. That's why we partnered with NMTech, the Department of Labor, the Governor's Office, the Broadband Office, to offer the Broadband Bootcamp. And we ensured that curriculum was not limited to broadband, that the curriculum also provided the participants with the IT know-how to go beyond broadband, so that it's, other than the stablecoin, when Google sets up its data center in Tinian, Luta, Saipan will have trained, skilled individuals that can work in that environment. Secondly, our Center for Training and Innovation has been very flexible and responsive to different needs in the community. That's why when we were the first ones to be certified by CompTIA, and we had the CompTIA conference not too long ago to really bring in the community and learn more about where this new industry is going. And then third, we are taking a look at our degree programs. Our School of Business is looking at its computer applications courses and programs to upgrade them to include more current curricula. For example, I know that Mike Rogers, who's a recent addition to the School of Business faculty, is working on with our academic council to update course guides and curriculum, individualized degree programs and degree offerings to speak to exactly what you raised, and to make sure that we are ready when this digital revolution continues.
And thank you for that, Mr. President. I think that's really important because you see a change in the workforce. Yeah. Everything is towards tech, and everything that we do in our daily lives is tailored towards some kind of tech knowledge. And then, we have this, and it's with us everywhere. Everything is in here, your IP, your wallet, your passwords, and not a lot of this community is ready to navigate through that process. So it's very important for me that I advocate for that, because it's a changing generation. I like paper till now, and I just see people cringe, like, oh my God, you need tech. But I'm not as savvy as a lot of other younger generation, right? But I want to make sure that they're totally equipped when we start to phase out, because I hate to say it, our Gen X is not, we don't have not much time. Well, God given, we get, but I'm just saying that this generation behind us, whether it be food science, whether it be tech, whether it be what, we're moving the same way because we've been behind in a lot of areas, including STEM. And that's important to me.
Yeah. Representative, if I may add, we're doing more than just making sure we're teaching them how to use this tech. We're also giving them these tools. One very important development is, of course, generative AI. And so NMC's Board of Regents was one of the first boards across the nation to adopt an AI policy. And we are now developing AI procedures, and we are embedding AI into a lot of our new tools with this One PROA digital migration process. So for example, it used to be that you had to sit with a faculty advisor to kind of walk through your IDP to figure out how you can graduate on time. Now we are going to have a very robust AI enhanced system where the students can do that on their own. That way, when they meet with the faculty advisor, it's not to do like just curriculum mapping, it's to do life planning and goal setting. So we're embracing technology not just as something that we're teaching our students, but we're putting in the hands of our students, our employees, and our community.
Thank you, Mr. President, for that wonderful insight. And I am going to yield my time for now. I know my colleagues have some other questions to ask, but those were very pressing to me, so I wanted to address that. So thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Atal.
Thank you, Rep. Flores. Before I recognize Rep. O'Don, VP, you mentioned that there's a 3-point some matching that for the FEMA side.
Yes.
I thought, sorry, on our previous conversation with the PA office, they said that all NMC projects are 100% funded already under FEMA.
I hope so. Did you get that in writing?
I'm going to get it in writing now because I'm surprised that you had mentioned that because we're going to call them in. And our
if you were able to get that in writing, please share that.
I will work
I would
to
love
get it on
that
on
would
writing.
make our whole entire week.
So right now it's 3 point some.
It's three. If you add all the different project worksheets, that total up to about 30. I want to say $32 million. I have the exact figures in here, but the approximate total. The 10% equals to about 3 point something million. Now, I want to say about 1 million of that has already been paid for using CIP funding that was provided through the CIP office. And that was extracted from a previous project that wasn't moving forward. Okay. So I believe they reallocated it to the college. So only certain funds can be used as a matching for other federal sources. You can't use a bunch of other federal funds.
Sure.
But with the CIP funds, you can. And so the remaining is about 2 point something million. And if the PAO did mention that we don't need to come up with that, that would be an amazing assistance to us, because what we're struggling with right now is, shortfalls in not just the buildings, but in FF&E, the furnitures, fixtures, shortfalls, and many other things that we can list on a large spreadsheet. I can share this spreadsheet with you, and it's all negative, 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 negative. And one of those is where are we going to get the money for the matching for FEMA? So if the PAO again did mention that, that would be news to us, that we don't need to match it, or if they are going to come up with matching, that would be great also.
Well, because my understanding with that, when NMC was obligated to pay the matching, there's another office, not CIP office, there's another funding source that was ready to be utilized to pay for the matching. And in our last conversation with the PA office was that NMC's cleared out for the matching under FEMA. But we'll hopefully get that in black and white. But thank you for sharing that, because from our side, we thought that it was already cleared out, that NMC's, they're going to move on with the projects and no matching is needed furthermore down the road. So we'll get that information.
Thank you so much. There have been conversations in the past where other agencies would help cover the matching, but as of today, the NMC needs to come up with the 10% to be able to activate the remaining 90% of FEMA funds.
And we're looking at roughly about $2 million.
Yes, for the match, for the 10%.
All right, thank you. Rep. O'Don, please.
Thank you, Vice. So, I have this question about your IT department. How much exactly are we looking to save with everything being on the cloud and digitized? And I love technology. So I'm just wondering, how much exactly is going to save on your budget by implementing the the IT solution?
Well, if I could answer that in two ways. One, we are still in the process of making that transformation, and we may not know until like a year from now because we're just launching this fall. But also, it's not just about savings. It's also about reassigning personnel so that they are used in a more productive, efficient manner. Like what I mentioned earlier, if you're going to use a faculty advisor to just walk you through a sheet of paper, we're not sure that's a very productive use of their time. But if we can free them up to do more life planning and goal setting, that would be great. Or for example, if we have in the library, we have someone who, who's going to walk around pushing paper, that's no longer necessary because we're using Adobe Sign. So now this person is freed up to provide more one-on-one support to our students. So, but I think we will know a year from now, once we've gone through one whole year of implementation, what those savings might be. But for now, our focus is not just on savings, but it's also making sure we're better serving our students and our community.
Right, because I understand that, that your everyday consumable items, what I mean, printing paper,
Exactly.
the printer,
Yeah.
it adds up after a while.
Yes.
And running an institution such as the college, it gets really expensive real quick, and that's why I'm trying to figure out, like, how much do you think we can figure out, like, how much? So let's say, for example, that if I have to spend, like every year I would spend like, $3,000 on printer cartridges. That's a lot of money for a small business. I cannot even imagine what it's going to be like for the college. And to me, that would
Right.
save money. So the more we digitize, right, and the more you streamline online, you save a lot of money. And that way, your budget, right, when your professionals are going out there, instead of spending time trying to explain, like you said, the paperwork, right, they could, the value for that dollar going to that instructor actually going over to teaching the students what to do is better money well spent.
Absolutely, Representative.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm just trying to figure out if you guys did like somewhat of a cost analysis on, we might be saving this much if we did it this way.
Well, one thing to remember is that the typhoons and the pandemic really accelerated our digital migration. Right. So that's just the new normal. I'm sure we could sit with our IT team and our finance team to crunch those numbers. I do know that there has been a lot of savings because in addition to shifting to the cloud from paper, this is happening worldwide. So, for instance, like finding a printing press is becoming not only harder but more expensive. So, toner cartridges are actually, they're becoming harder to find and more expensive to begin with. So we can certainly crunch those numbers, Representative, and get that information back to you.
Right, thank you. And then on another note, it's when so you're asking, you budgeted $800,000 for utilities. Is that the average cost annually, or what's that? Is that for the whole year, right?
I can add to that. So we're anticipating having the new buildings up soon. Right now, NMC pays about $500,000 for our existing facilities on Saipan, Tinian, and Roda, and that's subsidized a lot by the help from our government. However, the new buildings are still anticipated to increase by, you probably know better than me in the numbers. However, we're just going conservative on the additional 300,000 because it's going to be from roughly October to June, or 1 year from there, right? So with the solar minus the solar arrays, it should bring us around that average. When we start getting into the new buildings that don't have solar, we're gonna see a 10% of the total cost for operations and maintenance for that.
And,
So-
and that was like my leading question into that, because if you're saying that that new building is going to be solar and everything, that still leaves you with all the other buildings, right? That is not, which is still going to cost you. So with that new building, would the consumption of the utility, would it be net zero or net metered? They saying like net zero would be what you use today, right, on the daytime during normal operation, right? And what you produce would when it feeds back, and then at night it balances out as zero. Would it be enough? Did the engineers? Because I'm trying to make sure that you're not spending any more money than you need to, because you're building a lot these new buildings, and it's going to cost if it's not done right, and then you're going to be barking to the government, right, for more funding. And that is what scares me. If it wasn't done right, how much is this going to cost because of lack of planning and whatnot?
Representative, if I may, and then I'll yield to our Vice President and CFO. First of all, we're designing these buildings so that they're going to be LEED certified to be energy efficient. And we're making sure that in the designs, although we don't have the funding for it right now, that if we found the funding to add solar arrays on top of each building, that's part of the design, that they would be ready for that. We're certainly going to look for more grants and to fund or more funding to add the solar arrays, and we are working closely with CUC to ensure that we can strike that balance between net zero and net metering. But we're still working with CUC on that, because we want to be sure that if we do have a solar array, that we're not paying more, like you said, than we have to. But if I may have Vice President Frankie to add to that.
Sure, thank you. Representative Audon, all the buildings will have solar arrays, all of them. And one of the reasons is not just that we don't come up to the legislature to ask for funding for, to pay for CUC bills, but also because what we don't want to do is pass on that additional cost to our students, thereby making the cost of education expensive and out of reach for a population that's already coming from a very low income background. So that is at the heart of our initiative, to ensure that we deploy whatever renewable energy is available to us. As you may know, some of the grants that we have relied on historically, one of them is the EIC, the Energizing Insular Communities Grant, that has paid for the panels for the student center. That's already here. The panels are here, will be installed, but that grant has been suspended at this point. We are told by the Office of Insular Affairs at the Department of Interior that they will possibly reinstate it, so that we can apply for the subsequent buildings. But they do understand that solar panels is not just to save energy, it's to keep the cost of education low, so that our students can access a quality education without having to pay a premium price. So it's tied, both are tied, it's not just energy. So we hope not to come here to ask for utility, additional utility. But we really, again, the point of making it, or making our energy efficient, as Dr. G said, we're aiming for LEED certification or LEED certification equivalent, is to make sure that we don't pass on that cost to the student, because we want to make sure that what they get in Pell Grants and other available federal funding is going to be continue to be sufficient for them.
And that's like my whole goal, is to make sure that I for one do not want to spend anything on the government or anybody, that everything that I'm supposed to be doing is going to exactly like if I have a business, it's going to the customer, and I'm trying to minimize the overhead costs. And utilities is one of those. Consumable items are one of those. And the more we can save from spending on that, we can, so that way we're not trying to scrounge for pennies, to try to help our, students, So I'm just trying to make sure that it's not, that somebody did their homework right, so that the college doesn't fail their mission in, providing services to our students, And now with this LEAD, is this LEAD program going to cost, because remember that LEAD has to be maintained throughout its lifespan, correct? So how much is this LEAD program, if anything, going to cost the college on an annual basis?
So you're right, and for individuals that may not be familiar with the LEED certification process, there's different levels, right? There's
Right.
LEED certified, and then you can go up to silver, gold, and platinum. And to go up to platinum, it's a very expensive process, and we couldn't afford that. So we're aiming for LEED, basic LEED certification or LEED equivalent. So that means that we may have to reuse some of the water runoff that we get for our rain to be able to, for landscaping, we're required to use some of the materials that have been demolished. We're required to use some of the, of course, solar panels and other things. And for each of those initiatives, it requires some points. And you are right, absolutely right, no, Chairman. Member Aldon, it is going to cost, but the savings that we realize from that over the long term, we will offset some of those costs that we normally will have paid for our utility costs. So, and that is why we are doing that. So you will see a combination of all of our buildings that combine open air spaces. So we're not necessarily utilizing AC for all the spaces. We're utilizing wind and open space. If you look at the south area of our student center, the third floor is very open. So it's not an enclosed space. So that adds to those elements that give us points for LEED certification. What we want to do on the long term is, yes, it is expensive, but again, in the long term, it would reduce NMC's utility costs. And what we want to do is serve as a model for the rest of the CNMI to aim for these LEED certification buildings so that they are implementing it and embedding it in the design of the buildings to take advantage of sunlight and rain, reusing rainwater, whether it's for your sprinkler system or to water your, landscaping or other types of areas where you can reuse those elements. So, and it's very expensive upfront. I'm not going to lie to you, to incorporate LEED certification elements and requirements. And then there's a whole other body that you have to apply LEED certification to. It's the LEED Council. So it's not a given. You have to apply for it and you have to show them the different number of points. I don't have the technical background to be able to explain to you the different points, but it is definitely something that we hope our building will serve as a model for the rest of the CNMI.
So, and with that lead, right? So, because we understand, right? Like that it will cost money, and because it's not on the budget right now, but we are building the building already, because I'm pretty sure that once that building is completed, that will be in this budget, and we want to minimize it as much as we can. So, to make sure that we're not going to get surprised in the next fiscal year when it gets in here, that in order for you to reduce the price of that, you need to become a member. So the school needs to apply to GBC to ensure that they're not going to charge us at 100%, because it will get expensive. Because this thing is going to be a snowball effect when you do not include your maintenance, budget here, and the equipment drops or falls apart, and it stops meeting that LEED requirement. It's going to get very expensive real quick, fast, and in a hurry. And I don't know when the economy is going to get good, but what you're asking today, most likely, like all the other years, you're not going to get it. And this LEED program is going to get really expensive when it gets into this, when, you start adding it into the books. Okay? Just saying. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Representative Vincent O'Don. Mr. President, or maybe this is should be directed to Mr. Atto. How many personnels of NMCs are fully funded by federal funds? 19, and those are on other divisions like NMC, CREAS, SBDC perhaps, you said and all that. Does that include also the fringe benefits? Okay, okay, thank you for that clarification. Any further questions from our members for the first round? Let me recognize Representative TJ Maglonia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, President, VP, and team for coming up here and taking your time to put together a very comprehensive and convincing presentation. I would just want to commend you guys for all your hard work. We see that you guys are always thinking outside the box, thinking of the future, and trying to attack our economy in different facets. So I appreciate that. One question that I did want to ask, because we did have a budget hearing on Tinian, and one of the things that the mayor did bring up was, the potential opportunity to do business with the military, but some of the local, I guess, potential entrepreneurs there in Tinian, and possibly even Rhoda, not, having that entrepreneurial support. So I wanted to ask, what is the presence like for SBDC on Tinian and Rhoda currently?
We definitely have a presence there. We've got Mr. Borja on Tinian, and then Miss Ogo on Luta, and they are also supported by Miss Agun on Tinian and Diana on Luta, who help with the SBDC and also help with the Innovation Incubator Hub. And they are operating as a full satellite for those programs. And they conduct regular outreach. I know that on Tinian, they're planning a Christmas in July event with SBDC. So we do have a presence there, and they do conduct a lot of outreach. And we make sure that whether it's the Broadband Boot Camp or SBDC or the Center for Training and Innovation, we make sure that we include our Luta and Tinian stakeholders.
Thank you for that. I just wanted to make sure, especially with the military buildup, that we try to have our local entrepreneurs, take advantage of that. Those opportunities to get any of those government contracts. So I appreciate you guys and your efforts there. And I also want to commend CREAS too for working with our Cagman farmers. That was actually going to be one of my questions, but you addressed it in your presentation. So I thank you for collaborating with our farmers in Cagman and seeing how we can work to be more self-sustainable. So thank you. That was my only question for now.
Thank you, Representative TJ Maglonia. Any members for the second round? Representative Vincent Odon.
Thank you, Chairman. So I see that on the appropriations funded personal service worksheet for 2026, that you have your maintenance workers, right, that's vacant. Is all the position vacant?
I can answer that. Some of them are new, and they have not, of course, we don't have the funding to hire many of those maintenance workers. However, we do have a contracted company that helps us a lot with our maintenance. We do have a couple on staff, so they're not entirely vacant, but we do, as we anticipate the build-up, Congressman Odon, especially with the first building coming online in really just a couple months here, we want to be able to fill those positions as soon as possible. But again, our current appropriated amounts, as well as the funding that we have in other sources, we still need to prioritize, because it's not just the maintenance, but it's also other types of subject matter experts, right, that we need to fill for. So again, it's a difficult conversation that we have at the college when we go to a prioritization process, because we need instructors for certain areas. We need personnel in certain areas. Everybody within their areas needs, right? But our building is there, and we can't have an elevator that's not working. We can't have lights that aren't turned on. We can't have internet that's not working. So it's just a matter of what can we do? What is the most immediate need? Will we ever get to a place where every position is filled? I'm not sure we will, but we will continue to have that dialogue every year to identify what is the priority, because we, after all, we need to live within our means. We don't want to end the year in a deficit. What we want to do is live within the means from the legislature that has provided us and from the funds that we make from tuition and fees. So back to your question, we don't have all those positions funded and filled. Do we want to? Yes. And we will, as the need becomes even more important, we will be hiring them.
So how much does your contractor cost the college?
I don't have that information. Maybe.
I can clarify. One of the important things that we do to clarify what we're saying here is that when we first availed the contractor, prevailing wage wasn't existing. So when prevailing wage went up, obviously all our cost expenses ran up too. So it's much more cost efficient for us to hire on directly into the future, and that's why we now have those vacant positions. So they absorb the electricians, the plumbers, the masons, and the wood
Right,
carpenters, and then that amount is roughly, with the contractors, roughly between $500,000 to $600,000 a year that we have to expend out of pocket.
500,000 to 600,000 a year, roughly.
Roughly.
Right, because as I'm reading this, right, like, let me just 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Just for this 4 position, right, or 5 position, it's already 100,000, a little bit over 100,000. But if we're paying 3 times, 4 times as much, I mean, I'm pretty sure that any first grader would understand that I need to get these people quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yeah.
So we need to force the government or to get this thing filled.
Representative Aldana, if I may just point out that we have a facilities team right now that's doing the job of essentially three teams. 1, they're managing our current facilities. 2, they're planning for the new facilities. And 3, they're planning to maintain the new facilities. This is the same team that is keeping the grass cut, is monitoring the project every day, and then also trying to figure out how are we going to maintain that building once it's finally up and running. So that's why we are adding these positions, so that we're, like Representative Flores said, we're trying to anticipate where we're going so that we don't just build nice buildings, we maintain them as well.
Well, if you ask me, I would support trying to get this thing filled and get the funding that needs it.
Appreciate
Because
it.
that building is going to get, like I said, it's going to get really expensive really fast if we don't maintain it properly. So you need that personnel. So you need this funding. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Vincent Odon. Any further questions from the members for our NMC team? No further questions. Let me recognize Representative Marisa Flores.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Liptico, you mentioned that you were going to provide this committee the spreadsheets that include all of the minus, the deficits. I think that would be important for us to see, but my most critical part here is the matching funds. And I think if we didn't ask that, we would have been in limbo, not realizing that there were separate communications going on about what was going to be supported, and now what we, I guess, failed to get in writing. But the matching is my most crucial part. I don't want to jeopardize any grants that obviously NMC needs, especially while our doctor over here, Dr. Coleman, are you a doctor, Ms. Coleman? Not yet? Pretty soon? Okay. Ms. Coleman is very, she's moving at a pace that's quick and, hampering any kind of vision that she has that is tailored toward food sustainability. And outside of our region, I think that would be an injustice to her for all the hard work she put in. But also the injustice to all of your staff and your personnel who are doing what it needs to do to get our community where it needs to be, not just par, but exceptional, right? So, Mr. Liptico, if you could be so kind to forward that information, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Chairman. I yield my time.
Thank you, Representative Marisa Flores. Just follow up on the line of questions from Representative Vincent Odon. I know, Mr. President and Vice, that the governor's proposal gives additional 2 million versus what is currently appropriated. So can we fairly say that since you guys are saying that you guys mostly use local appropriation for personnel, that maybe perhaps we can start funding this maintenance employees if given this 2 million for this proposed fiscal year? Is that something that maybe perhaps you guys would like to prioritize, or what is the priority with this additional 2 million? What are you guys' plans?
Well, our priority right now is facilities and also technology. But, that doesn't mean that we're not going to prioritize supporting our students through student support services or making sure that we innovate and offer new programs through academic programs and services and continue to support the great work being done by CREASE, SBDC. So honestly, Chairman, what we do is probably once a year we get together as an executive team and we map out, okay, what are our needs right now? And we take a look at what we have. And if we have this much money, and we prioritize these positions. And it's a lot of compromise. I wish we could say we're going to be able to hire enough faculty to really make sure that we can upgrade our natural resource management program from an associate's degree to a bachelor's degree, but that's going to require costs, additional staffing. So right now we're prioritizing facilities and technology, but we cannot deprioritize academics and student support services and everything else we're doing in the community.
Okay, thank you, Dr. G, for that response. Are there any further questions? Recognize the Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a follow-up in regards to the chairman's question, President, and to the NMC team. The $2+ million matching, would that be something for building the new CREASE office or the new CREASE facility, upgrade that area down there in Chalampia?
Are you talking about the matching from FEMA?
No. The matching for CREASE.
Oh, I'm certain that Dean Patty would love to use some of those funds for that. But if I could yield to Dean Patty to talk about how she would plan to use that.
Well, Vice Chairman, so those are the required funding for the formula capacity funds that we receive, but we do have a competitive grant portfolio as well, which is fairly considerable at this time because we were able to secure some bigger grants to support our work in the CNMI, and those don't have any matching costs. So the $2 million, where would we put it? Well, one of the things that we'd like to do is we've focused a lot on our Saipan facility, and we'd like to definitely build our capacity in Rhoda and Tinian. We do have plans to start early next year to build a smaller medicinal food science lab in Rhoda in particular. So we definitely use it for that. We'd definitely like to increase our research infrastructure as well. And what that really boils down to is having the right people. And I will say it is very difficult to recruit scientists. There's a shortage in many of these areas in the United States, which is why we've had to go out. So we've been able to make some adjustments to entice more people to work in the CNMI, but that money will definitely give us more of an advantage and edge in our recruitment efforts.
All right, thank you for that. And I know that the facilities here is really a big priority. They're moving forward, and we're hopeful when we meet with the PA office that the FEMA matching is not needed. They're going to be covered 100%. But if not, we can work with Ms. V and the CIP office and maybe put a position from the legislative branch to reserve these monies for matching for NMC's facilities. If the matching's not needed now, maybe we can reserve those fundings to get the capital equipment to make the buildings functional. Would that be something that NMC would be supportive of? So it takes away some of the responsibilities from you guys finding the money, and the money's there readily available, so we can start getting these buildings going.
Vice Chair, we have a long list of FF&E projects that need funding, so it's a start. But we're going to need a lot more than that.
I'm sure you are. I know we met a couple months ago, and you guys had presented the case of why NMC needs additional funding to get these buildings up and running. But while we're going in phases, we can start utilizing these funds or getting these funds readily available so they can start putting the buildings together within the inside, right? So that the equipment's there to make the building functional.
Right. And in addition to that, I mean, with inflation, the rising cost of labor, supply chain disruptions, the cost of each building is going up, so we're also encountering some shortfalls. So there's FF&E, there's shortfalls, there's other elements of the facilities master plan. So I agree with you, we can approach it in phases.
All right, so we'll do what we can from our part in assisting with the buildings, and then I'll leave the headache to the chairman in regards to the budget part. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Vice. Are there any further questions? Recognize Representative TJ Maglonia.
Not really a question, just a quick update. I did reach out to the Department of Commerce regarding the CNMI product seals. So they're currently in the final stages. They've been working back and forth with the governor's office, but they're working on the final submittal to the SAA and the governor's office. So just for your heads up, maybe be in contact with them to see when they do that. They said within the next couple weeks, hopefully. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. TJ Maglonia. Any further from the members?
Chairman,
Go
if I
ahead,
may,
Mr.
and I'm
President.
sorry, I know I'm not a member, but you know, there have been a lot of wonderful questions and points raised today about positions and staffing, and I'd like to ask one question of our Proa tribe, the Sea of Red that's here today, to help sort of impress upon you and answer those questions and respond to those points. So if I may just ask a simple question of our Proa tribe, members of the NMC tribe, if you are currently or have ever been in an interim position or have taken on additional duties and responsibilities to keep the college operating, please raise your hand. So I hope, Chairman, members of this committee, I hope that answers your questions and speaks to your points about how we're doing what we can, but we definitely need more help.
Thank you, Mr. President. Are there any other questions from the members? If there's no further question, Mr. President and your awesome team from NMC, on behalf of the Committee of Ways and Means, we thank you guys for coming before us and answering our questions and sharing your concerns and your priorities for this upcoming fiscal year 2026 budget. And with that said, if you have any closing remarks, I'll give back the floor to you, Mr. President.
You know, NMC's been through a lot, and we've all been through a lot. And I think that the hope and resilience of our Proa tribe, it speaks to the entire Northern Marianas. And I just, it's something I shared with this body last year, and I bring to you again today. You know, we're in education, we're in the business of seeing and conceiving what's possible. Even though every day we're confronted with impossibilities, we're confronted with the limitations and the drawbacks and the shortcomings and the shortfalls. But NMC never gives into that. We always think about what can we do? Because there are many reasons why we can't do things, but rather than impress upon ourselves why we can't do things, we always ask, how can we do things? And we know that your decisions are difficult. You have a lot of competing interests and demands, but we want to impart that spirit upon you, that enduring Proa spirit. And that spirit is premised on the question not why we can't, but how we can. And know that we're in it with you, and we implore you to think not about why we can't do something, but to really dig deep and find out how we can do something. So, Sizus Masi, Chairman, and Sizus Masi, members of this committee.
Thank you, Dr. G, Mr. President. And with that, we move further down on our order of business. We are now on item 6, which is announcement. So the chair would like to announce and remind the members that tomorrow we have the office of the mayor of Saipan for a budget hearing at 9:30 here at the House Chamber. And so with that, we now move to our last order of business, adjournment, and at this time, the chair adjourns this budget hearing. Thank you, members.